Melbourne is known for having many unique cultures, and one of the ways these cultures can be viewed is through art. Art can be viewed in many ways, such as being visualized, heard, or through taste. But the people of Melbourne are busy with their daily lives. So our question for City Week is, do the people in Melbourne appreciate the art that surrounds them? These were our first thoughts on our question.
My initial thoughts are that I don't think people will notice the art and the architecture around them. I think they'll be too busy in their lives to actually know the work that's surrounding them.
My initial thoughts on the topic was that most of the tourists that come to Melbourne would really pay attention to the arts that was created by the people. But most of the people that live in Melbourne regularly won't really notice it because they pass by it every day and just see it as something common.
Over 60% of the people in Melbourne doesn't actually appreciate the art that some artists or people that did or drew to make this city a more unique and better place for us to live in.
So my initial thoughts is that I don't think there's much to it, just the street arts around like the walls and stuff, that's about it.
In the beginning, our group thought that there wasn't much art around Melbourne, and if there is art around us, no one would realise. Our first topic is street art. Melbourne street art is internationally renowned to always provide a feast of colours and ideas. Every year, people are drawn in from all around the world to view Melbourne's unique culture that is drawn upon the walls. The street art present today is prone to be replaced by different street art over the timeline of a few days or weeks. As an example, the Taylor Swift mural, now replaced with the one and only Yeezys. After a few days, someone had to draw on top. When we first looked into street art around Melbourne, we thought that there was only one place, called Hosea Lane, which had any. But soon we discovered there were multiple locations filled with more and diverse street art. It was as if each street had its own personality. We asked the public if they had realized any of the street art that surrounds them.
So how many times do you think you would walk down here throughout your week?
Well, probably once a week or something.
Once a week. So this has been happening for like a couple of years, and like as you've been working here. So did you ever notice like these the photos like up there and like on the sides as often? Because like we would walk down here and we were about to leave and we didn't see like these little photos. So did you also notice that?
No, I haven't. That's amazing.
It's really astonishing.
It's incredible. Thanks for pointing it out.
Yeah.
It's quite remarkable.
The Melbourne citizens just seemed to pass by all the art. However, there were many tourists coming by. Perhaps the citizens of Melbourne are busy on their phones. We were unable to record this because the cops seemed to not support the idea of street art and still viewed it as vandalizing. Here's our interview. How many times would you say you've gone through this lane and like done graffiti, or as in like been around here?
Over the space of like 4 years, probably like maybe 100 times, 50 times.
So like every time whenever you go through here, you see like changes in graffiti and all this.
It's constantly changing every day. Someone will go over another piece, and it's all to do with like who's got the best piece, and if you think you're better, you go over it, and if it ends up not being better, then they're not that violent anymore. But it can get violent, man.
Do you think that like places like these deserve a bit more attention as in that way? Because
Yeah, they do get the attention, but one thing is that like they won't budget the footpath, like the concrete here. So it's like if you've got a wheelchair, you've got a school group or something, like it's like, and it's one of the main tourist attractions in Melbourne. So the government's trying to shut down graffiti because of its criminal relations.
it has a huge influence on Melbourne's culture. However, no one ever notices. Our second topic was architecture. Melbourne has a mix of both old and new looking buildings. We look at a couple of buildings. First was the Shot Tower, under a glass dome in Melbourne Central. Created in 1888 and was saved from being demolished in 1971, and then became a part of Melbourne Central. We asked some of the people a few questions about the building.
What we're doing is like we're asking a question about do people like they see things, but do they notice like all their surroundings and all the culture that's around them and art? So obviously while you were walking you saw this, but did you like take time to appreciate or like think about in the back of your head like how much time it took to make this or like what it's for? So
No, not really. I never really. I go past here every day. I never really look at it.
yeah. So yeah. Another thing is that do you think that like buildings like these and modern buildings they like represent Melbourne's culture, saying that we still have a bit of the old, but we're still like modern people? So do you think this helps with shaping Melbourne's culture?
Yeah.
So because there's so many people walking around here and they're so busy in their daily lives, do you think that buildings like these that have history behind them and art and architecture, they deserve more attention from the public?
Yeah, I guess. It's nice to appreciate. Yeah.
Which is nice, yeah. The building behind you is for?
The one in the middle there? Yes,
Yeah.
it's a shot tower, or it was one. Yes.
Yeah, so do you think that like buildings like these add to Melbourne's culture, as Melbourne Council, like they decided to preserve this building for future use and other people to walk around in it and see it? Did you think that it adds to Melbourne's culture in that way?
I think it does. I think I think it's definitely worth the effort. I think it puts a little bit of history in the middle of a shopping centre, which usually doesn't have a lot of interesting architecture to go with it. So, no, I first saw it about 25 years ago and was impressed then, and I think it was a great idea.
Yeah. Another thing is that we see that people notice things around them, that people walking by, they would see this building, but they won't take the time to appreciate it, or they weren't, like, as in be aware of the surroundings. So do you think that's also an issue within our...
Quite possibly. I mean, I'd say a lot of the people walking around probably come through every day, so they probably don't pay a lot of attention for that reason, but I think you're right. I think a lot of people don't sort of differentiate, or they might look at it and say, oh, that's tall or whatever, but don't give it much more thought than that, and perhaps don't sort of take the time to consider how old it might be or what its original function might have been, and there's certainly a lot of things in here to distract them. So, but I also think a lot of them are just indifferent because they see it every day.
The next building was the RMIT building, mainly the green blobs. This building had mixed thoughts between our group. Some thought that the building looked pretty nifty, and some thought that it looked like snot. However, the architecture seems very tough to make. We asked someone what they thought about the building, featuring a fire truck.
Do you know what that building is for?
That building?
Oh yeah, the big
That with
building.
the Korean martial
Yeah.
Yeah, it's RMIT. Well, I know the info center is on the ground floor, but
Do you like the design of the building with like the green top bit?
what do you mean? Like,
Do you like the design of it?
no,
like the
not
architecture?
actually, no. Like, I really hate the design of it.
Yeah.
I don't really get it.
Do you think it deserves more attention? I'm guessing not, since you don't like the design of it.
Yeah, I think it's a great place. Like, it's a great location. And I think if someone actually put another design on top of this, I'll be pretty happy. I mean, like a real design rather than.
Our last building was the William Barak apartment. William Barak, the last Indigenous Australian leader of the tribe which owned the land where the apartment is now. It was a new apartment built with funny-looking balconies. After some research, we realized that the balconies formed a shape of William Barak's face. As music is included as art, we decided to look for our next expert on the street, hopefully to run into street artists. Throughout the week, we found a street performer under the name Kate Watts, with a Facebook page with 3,000 likes, called Kit Watts.
One of the questions we had was how often do you think people notice you or like aware of it? Because one thing is that people in the city are so busy, they're not aware of their surroundings. So how many times do you think they'll notice you out of like the couple of hundred people that walk by every day?
I think most people notice, but it's whether they actually pay attention. I'm not totally sure. So probably a small percentage, like maybe 40 to 50% would actually stop and take notice, I think. Yeah.
And like, what actually made you like compelled you to come into this business or like just perform? So is it like your passion or like you?
Yeah, this is our full-time job. So busking is our job, and that pays for so that we can actually do proper shows and bigger shows. But this is just our day job.
Oh, so like you have proper like organized concerts and everything, but like this is like a side project.
Yeah.
And also, like, do you really enjoy? Like, did you think that when you would grow up, you would come into like this sort of business or like?
Yeah, 100%, and I love it too. So it's
you
good.
love it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
No worries.
Really nice
Thank you.
talking to you. Thank you.
Our final thoughts as a group are, we now understand that there is more than just street art. However, it's a shame how the art goes unnoticed. The people of Melbourne are so busy in their daily lives that they don't have the time to appreciate all the hard work and time that has been put into their surroundings. If only we were to open our eyes and see the world for what it really is. To see that the alleyways we walk through not as shortcuts to a destination, but a place where creativity and inspiration flourishes.